Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss with you Budget 2022-23 in just 10 questions and answers format. The budget document is very important because questions in civil services, prelims and mains straightway come from the budget. So let us start. Well, what are the major components of Budget 2022-23? So dear students, if you see, the budget has two accounts. One is a revenue account, another one is capital account. तो यहाँ पे revenue receipts हैं सारी की सारी and capital receipts हैं. So revenue receipts they comprise of tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Tax revenue, as you all know, it is direct tax and indirect tax. Non-tax revenue, it includes government income from various sources, interest, fees and fines. And capital receipts, it has three components. One is recovery of loans, that is the loans which government has given and when the loans are recovered. Second is other receipts, it primarily constitutes disinvestment receipts and borrowing and other liabilities. So revenue receipts and capital receipts, and total receipts constitute around 39.44 lakh crore. So the total amount of the budget 2022-23 is 39.5 lakh crore, right? You can make it out. So total expenditure, again total expenditure would be in two accounts, that is revenue account and capital account. So revenue accounts, here only the two major items have been mentioned: interest payments and grants in aid for creation of capital assets and own capital account, right? So again the total expenditure also amount to 39.5 lakh crores. So receipts, they match expenditures. And if you look at the deficit trends, fiscal deficit for the year 2022-23 has been budgeted at 6.4% of GDP. It was very high, that is 9.2% record figure in the year 2022-2021 because of impact of COVID-19. It came down to 6.8 2021-22 budget, but it was revised to 6.9 for the budget 2021-22. So there is slight reduction in the proposed fiscal deficit figure, that is 6.4% of GDP. The revenue deficit of the government is 3.8% of GDP, and effective revenue deficit is 2.6%, and fiscal and primary deficit, which is fiscal deficit minus interest payments, is 2.8% of GDP. So these are the components, again revenue and capital items. Well, I will also give you an analysis with regard to where does rupee come from, rupee kahan se aata hai. So the major source of government receipts is borrowing and liabilities. You can see borrowing and liabilities constitute 35% of total receipts of the government, right? And the second item in government's receipts is GST, goods and service tax. So the tax which was introduced just 6 years before, it is second in rank, that is 16%. Third figure is corporation tax, it is 15%, and income tax is also equal to corporation tax. So you can see the third number is of corporation tax and income tax, that is 15% of government's total receipts. And number 4 item is union excise duty. So here we can give number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, number 4 is union excise duties. Then number 5 is customs, and number 5 non-tax revenue ka bhi hai, and number 6 is non-debt capital receipts. So these are the items which constitute receipts of the government from different sources, right? And when government spends money, so where does rupee go? Rupee kahan jata hai? So let us analyze. The first and foremost, the figure is interest payments, that is, it constitutes nearly 20% of the total budget, interest payments. Number 2 share is state share of taxes and duties, that is 17%. This is number 1, this is number 2. Number 3 is central sector schemes. Number 4 is, you can see, finance commission and other transfer. Number 5 is centrally sponsored schemes, 9%. Other expenditure, 9%. This is also number 5. Number 6 is defense expenditure. Defense expenditure has increased in the recent years because of the government priorities to, give, importance to defense. Subsidies, yes, it is also 8%. So rank 6. Pension, it is around 4%. So you can see the different items in terms of importance of government expenditure, right? Now the second question is, why Finance Minister used the term Amrit Kaal in the budget? Well friends, the first budget during British India was presented by James Wilson in 1860. He was Scottish politician and economist who presented budget on behalf of East India Company to British Crown. In independent India, it was R.K.S. Shetty who presented budget for the first time on 26 November 1947. The term Amrit Kaal comes from Vedic astrology, where Amrit Kaal is critical time slot where the gate of greater pleasure is opened for the angels and human beings. It is considered to be the best and most auspicious time to start any new task, because 75 years have elapsed since we got independence. So budget seeks to lay foundation and give a blueprint to steer the economy over the Amrit Kaal of the next 25 years, from India at 75 to India at 100. So that is why Nirmalasitaraman in her budget, she mentioned many a times that this budget is a blueprint for the next 25 years. That is the phase which she termed as Amrit Kaal. And there are 3 major goals of this Amrit Kaal phase. Well, you can see goals. Number 1 is focus on growth and all-inclusive welfare. This is the first goal, first focus of Amrit Kaal. Second is promoting technology-enabled development, energy transition and climate action. Much emphasis has been given on digitalization of economy and energy conservation. So I would be discussing this point later also. And virtuous cycle starting from private investment crowded in by public capital investment. In this budget, the government has proposed investment worth rupees 7.5 lakh crore. This is huge investment, and it is the government emphasizes, especially Nirmalasitaraman in her budget, she said that the public investment, it will encourage more private investment, and that is why the term virtuous cycle is mentioned here. Virtuous cycle starting with private investment crowded in by public capital investment. Well, the number 3 question, what are the 4 priorities laid down in the budget 2022-23? Well, there are 4 priorities mentioned in the budget for the year 2022-23. One is PM Gati Shakti. Second is inclusive development. Third is productivity enhancement and investment, sunrise opportunities, energy transition and climate action. And fourth one is financing of investment. So let us have a quick survey of what these 4 priorities are. So let us start with PM Gati Shakti. Well, the PM Gati Shakti is driven by 7 engines, namely roads. This is very, very important. PM Gati Shakti is driven by 7 engines. That is roads, railways, airports, ports, mass transport, waterways and logistic infrastructure. The emphasis is on world-class modern infrastructure. 25,000 kilometer national highways envisaged in the budget in the year budget 2022-23. Seamless multimodal movement of goods and people is there. Establishment of multimodal logistic parks at 4 locations through PPP mode. and railway development. I would be coming to this particular point again. And last is capacity building, that is skill upgradation. So dear friends, PM Gati Shakti is nothing. It is what J.M. Keynes, the great economist, once said, pump priming. That is, pouring greater dose of investment in the economy so that aggregate demand could rise. Nirmalasitaraman, in her budget, she has mentioned that India is suffering from low aggregate demand syndrome. So in order to raise aggregate demand, emphasis is on increasing the investment, because more investment will lead to what? More investment will lead to generation of more production of goods and services and income. And ultimately, and because for more production of goods and services, we need more employment, we need more manpower. So it will also create employment opportunities. So that is why the name is PM Gati Shakti. The idea is to provide speed, powerful speed to the economy. And the budget 2020-23 has envisaged the growth rate of around 8.5% for the year 2022-23. For the year 2021-22, the growth rate of 9.2 has been envisaged. And among the larger economy, this is the highest growth rate recorded by any economy. So this is the number one priority. Now coming to the number two, inclusive development. So you can see here the emphasis is on the common man, that the last man standing should get benefit from the budget. So the first one is Har Ghar Nal Se Jal, 3.8 crore households to be covered in 2022-23. PM Awas Yojana, where 80 lakh houses will be completed in the year 2022-23. PM Divine is there to fund infrastructure and social development based on felt needs of Northeast. So Northeast region has been it is in the focus. So infrastructure development in the northern region has been mentioned. Fourth is aspiration blocks program, that is for those aspirational districts which are lagging behind. So the emphasis will be to promote the blocks and the aspirational districts. A vibrant villages program targeting development of villages on the northern border left out from the development gains. So this is basically जो northern borders में जो villages हैं उनके development के लिए this is a program. Digital banking by post offices, 100% of the post offices to come on the core banking system, because there are in many small towns or villages the post offices still function. They have banking functions as well. So common man, they go to post offices. That is why digitalization will help the banking structure in the rural areas. Digital payments, schedule commercial banks to set up 75 digital banking units in 75 districts. So these are the this is the priority number 2, that is inclusive development. Now coming to the third, that is productivity enhancement and investment, sunrise opportunities, and energy transition and climate action. So I have divided this analysis into 3 parts. So first I would be taking only this productivity enhancement and investment, right? So here government thinks of increasing productivity in the country on the basis of 2 formats. One is ease of doing business 2, so launching of ease of doing business 2 model, and second is ease of living for the common man. So what government has planned, let us have a look. Trust based governance. Second is integration of central and state level system through IT, information technology bridges. Expanding scope of Parivesh portal, especially for the green projects. Unique land parcel identification number for IT based management of land records. So in fact this is a long time awaited you can say reform, because land reforms में हम बार बार ये चीज़ कहते हैं that जो land records हैं they should be properly scrutinized and they should be properly computerized. The data should be maintained, proper data should be maintained. Then establishing Center for Processing Accelerated Corporation Exit (CPACE) to facilitate voluntary winding up of companies. Generally it takes around 2 years for voluntary winding up of a company. So the idea in the budget is to reduce the time from 2 years to 6 months. End-to-end online e-bill system and utilizing surety bonds in government procurement. Animation, visual effect, gaming and comic AVCG promotion task force. So this is the area which the budget document says that has a great future for Indian youth and manpower. And here India can emerge as global leader as well. So the task force will be established to find out that how animation, visual effects, gaming and comic, this particular area can be promoted. Support to 5G under production linked incentive PLI scheme. Well, 5G mobile service will be launched in the year 2022-23 to provide high speed network to the residents, and for this auctioning, spectrum auctioning will begin in this coming year only. So this is also a good initiative. Opening up defense R&D for industry, startups and academia. So this is again to promote Atmanirbhar Bharat concept in the defense area. So this is ease of doing business too. So here we have 4 steps for ease of living, that is issuing of chip embedded e-passports. So this is this would be a great boon for the people who want to visit overseas, foreign countries. Modernization of building bylaws, implementation town planning schemes and transit oriented development. So this is good for the town planning, and this will boost up the real estate sector and the housing sector in the urban areas. Establishing centers for excellence in urban planning and providing a battery swapping policy as an alternative to setting up changing station in urban areas. So this will give boost to the electrical vehicles usage in the urban areas. So this is the first part, productivity enhancement and investment. Now coming to the sunrise opportunities. Well, sunrise industries are those industries which are emerging industries, and they have huge opportunities for contribution in GDP and employment generation. So the budget document, it identifies certain areas, that is artificial intelligence, geospatial system and drones, semiconductor and its ecosystem, space economy, genomics and pharmaceuticals, green energy and clean mobility systems. And the budget document also emphasizes certain points that how sunrise opportunities will be promoted in the budget. It is through light touch regulations. So the regulations will be framed in such a way that they facilitate sunrise opportunities. Facilitative actions to build domestic capacities, so skill building will be there, indigenous level pay, creation of research and development opportunities, and finally collaboration among academia, industry and public institutions for the growth of sunrise industries. And finally coming to the energy transition and climate action. So here we have the budget document talks about 3 major steps. One is solar power. So there is ambitious goal of 280 gigawatt of installed solar capacity by 2030, and allocation of rupees 19,500 crore has been proposed under PLI scheme, production linked incentive scheme. Circular economy. Circular economy refers to the production of reusable products. So those so the 10 sectors have been identified where this reusable production will be incentivized. It will lead to the cleaner and greener India. Infrastructure, reverse logistic, technology, upgradation and integration with the informal sector. So these are the steps which have been emphasized by the budget 2022-23. Coming to the point C, that is transition to the carbon neutral economy. Again, the idea is energy transition and climate action. So the first point here is 5 to 7% of biomass pellets will be co-fired in thermal power plants, resulting in CO2 savings of 38 MMT annually. Now this is a very good step because it will lead to generation of extra income to farmers, because they would be selling this biomass pellets. and job opportunities for the locals and help avoid stubble burning in agriculture fields. So stubble burning becomes a major issue, especially in the winters in the surroundings of Delhi. So this is a very good, in fact, this is, we can say this is a positive step to encourage farmers to go for such type of activities. Second is energy service company, ESCO business model in large commercial buildings. This is also a good step. Third is 4 pilot projects for coal gasification and conversion of coal into chemicals. Fourth one is the policies and required legislative changes to promote agroforestry and private forestry. So agroforestry and private forestry has been emphasized. And finally, financial support to farmers belonging to SC/ST who want to take up agroforestry. So these are the steps which have been taken under energy transition and climate action. So this was priority 3. So together it was productivity enhancement and investment, sunrise opportunities, energy transition and climate action. Now the question number 4, which is also the priority 4, because in the beginning I talked about 4 priorities, that is PM Gati Shakti, inclusive development, productivity enhancement, investment, sunrise opportunity, energy transition. The 4th one was financing of investment, that from where the resources will come. गवर्नमेंट ने जो इतना सारा सोच रखा है कि इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी है, रिसोर्सेज आएंगे कहाँ से. सो लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग. हाउ विल गवर्नमेंट मोबिलाइज सोर्सेज फॉर बजट? दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. Well, total budget expenditure, as I mentioned earlier, it is 39.45 lakh crore. Total receipts other than borrowings are rupees 22.84 lakh crore. Effective capital expenditure, which also includes the state share, the grants to the states and state share in the capital expenditure. So effective capital expenditure is 10.68 lakh crore, which is 4.1% of GDP and 27% of the budget. So ये जो 27% of the budget है, from where it will come? So well, you can also see the revenue expenditure is going down and capital expenditure is going up, right? So from where the government will get funds. So there are 3-4 things, and I have mentioned earlier as well that 35% of the total earnings of the government, rupee comes in, 35% of the rupee comes from borrowings, right? So again the emphasis is on borrowings. So you can see green bonds. Green bonds are sovereign green bonds which are used for green infrastructure, right? Secondly, the government will go for venture capital and private equity investment. So in the last year budget 2021-22, 5.5 lakh crore rupees were raised from venture capital and private equity fund. So this budget envisages setting up of an expert committee to examine and suggest appropriate measure to raise funds through this channel. Third one is blended finance for sunrise sector. What is blended finance? Blended finance attracts commercial capital towards projects that contribute to sustainable development while providing financial returns to investors, right? The government share, so in this budget the finance minister says that the government share will be limited to 20% and the funds being managed by private fund managers, right? And the fourth issue is infrastructure status to data centers and energy storage system. This will facilitate credit availability for digital infrastructure and clean energy storage. So these are the 4 areas emphasized by the budget from where the resources will be mobilized. The question number 5, that is what budget promises for education and skill development. So let us have a look. Well, as we know, India spends around 3.5% of GDP on education sector, and Kothari Commission in 1964, it asked government to spend around 6% of the budget on education. So in this budget there are few steps taken by the government, that is one class one TV channel program of PM E-Vidya, which will be expanded from 12 to 200 TV channels. Second is establishment of 750 virtual labs in science and mathematics, and 75 skilling e-labs for stimulated learning environment. Third one is high quality e-content in all spoken languages, vernacular languages, so that students can understand the concepts in easy manner. Fourth one is development of quality e-content by the teachers. So teachers will be given the task of preparing e-content for the students. And finally, digital university will be established on a networked hub spoke model. So all the state of art digital things will be with the main university, digital university. It would be a hub university, and other public institutions, public university, leading public universities would be the spoke universities. So this is the education scenario in the budget. Well, coming to skill development, National Skill Qualification Framework (NSQF) will be aligned with dynamic industry needs. So NSQF is the portal, government portal, which prepares the syllabus with regard to various skill development programs, and it also provides this is the agency that approves the syllabus and provides certificates with regard to skill qualification. Digital ecosystem for skilling and livelihood, the Desh Stack e-portal will be launched. So this is a good step, especially in the COVID times where physical interface is limited. And finally, startups will be promoted to facilitate Drone Shakti for drone as a service, DRaaS. So these are the steps for the skill development under budget 2022-23. Now the question number 6. What are the tax announcements in the budget? Well, there were a lot of expectation by the common man that government may come out for some relief in the tax, income tax rates, but it did not. So there are certain changes which have been done in the direct taxes. Let us have a look. Allowing taxpayers to file updated return to within 2 years of correcting error, that is to encourage voluntary tax compliance. So those taxpayers which somehow missed filing their tax return, so they have been given 2 years to correct the error. So idea is to encourage the tax compliance, right? Second is reducing minimum alternate tax. So we know that the companies or corporate houses, they have option of either paying corporate tax or minimum alternate tax, MAT. So reducing MAT and surcharge rate for cooperatives from 18.5% to 15%. So earlier, see, the Indian companies, they were paying 15% of MAT, but cooperative societies were paying 18.5% of the MAT. So this has been reduced to 15% to raise the income of cooperative societies and to bring them at par with the companies. Tax relief to persons with disability. And number 4 is increasing the tax deduction limit from 10% to 14% on employers' contribution to the NPS account of state government employees. So this is also a welcome step because it will enhance the social security benefits of the state government employees and bring them at par with the central government employees, because central government employees के केस में जो tax deduction limit थी, it was already 14%. So for the state government employees, it has increased from 10 to 14%. So idea is to enhance the social security of the state government employees and bringing them at par with the central government employees. Direct taxes, few more points. Extending period of incorporation of eligible startups to 31st March 2023 for providing tax incentives. So earlier the deadline was 2022, it has increased to 2023. Litigation management to avoid repetitive appeals by the department. So a lot of time and resources are consumed by the income tax department with regard to litigation management. So litigation, so इसको भी रिजोल्व करने के लिए स्टेप्स बजट कह रहा है. Any surcharge or cess on income and profit is not allowable as business expenditure. So there were certain courts rulings that where surcharge was declared as a business expenditure. So government has clarified in the budget 2022-23 that it will not be because the income from surcharge or cess is used for the welfare of the people, maybe for the educational development, health sector, so it is not allowable as business expenditure. In budget 2022-23, certain steps have been taken to regulate cryptocurrency as well. 30% tax on any income from transfer of any virtual digital asset. There were a lot of talk about regulation of cryptocurrency in India before the budget. So budget 2022-23 has taken certain steps. So number one is 30% tax on any income from transfer of any virtual digital asset. So if a person sells or transfers cryptocurrency to another, there would be 30% tax on the, if there is generation of income because of such transfer or sale. 1% TDS on virtual currency transfer. So tax deducted at source is also there. And gift of virtual digital asset, gift of cryptocurrency is also proposed to be taxed in the hands of recipient. These steps are going to bring cryptocurrency under control of the government somehow. And this budget has also proposed that Reserve Bank of India is to introduce its own digital currency in 2022-23. So RBI is also coming out with its own cryptocurrency. So there was a lot of talk about this, that RBI will come, and the budget has cleared all the doubts about this. Now coming to indirect taxes, there are 2-3 points. Custom administration will be fully IT driven in special economic zones. So number one. Second is phasing out the concessional rates in capital goods and project imports gradually and apply a moderate tariff of 7.5%. This is important because the imports, project import, basically this, you can say that this step has been taken to promote indigenous manufacturing. The earlier the indigenous manufacturer, they were facing huge competition of such imports. So when these imports would be imposed 7.5% tariff, naturally the products will become costlier. So ultimately it will encourage domestic manufacturing. Review of custom exemptions and tariff simplification. This is welcome step. Custom duty rates are being calibrated to provide a graded rate structure to facilitate domestic manufacturing of electronics. Now again, electronic items, we have huge dependence on electronic imports. So ultimately, when government is talking about calibration of custom duty, it means such projects which are electronic products which are imported at very cheaper rates from outside, they would be the duties will be raised. So ultimately India has huge imports from China, Singapore and other South Asian countries. So the imports of these countries are going to be costlier because the custom duty is going to be increased, right? Indirect taxes में 2-3 points हो रहा है. Rationalization of exemptions on implementation and tools of agri sector which are manufactured in India. Again it is make in India, या आप कह रहे हो कि जो government of India की scheme है to promote domestic manufacturing. Extension of custom duty exemptions on steel scrap. Now this is important because steel scrap is used by many industrial units in India. So this is again to promote domestic manufacturing. Reduction in import duty on certain imports required for shrimp aquaculture. Unblended fuel shall attract an additional differential excise duty of ₹2 per litre from the first day of October 2022. So ultimately government wants to promote blended fuel, right? So any usage of unblended fuel after October 2022, 1st October 2022 will invite duty of ₹2 per litre. So these are the tax proposals by the finance minister in the budget 2022-23. Now the question number 7, what does budget provide for agriculture? Well friends, this year we saw a lot of unrest by the farmers and demonstration around Delhi for withdrawal of MSP and few other reasons. So lot was expected with regard to budget. So we can see what government has done. Now let us have a look on this bar diagram. See, the agriculture growth rate has come as a great relief for the government during COVID time, because this was the only sector in the COVID time which experienced positive growth rates. You can see in the year 2020-21 we had 3.6% growth rate, when entire economy experienced around minus 7.5% growth rate, right? And 16-17 there was 6.8% growth rate, 17-18 6.6% growth rate, 18-19 2.6, 19-20 4.3, 20-21 3.6, and 21-22 3.9% growth rate. So we see the growth rate is stable for the last few years, although it is not as high as the years 2016-17 and 17-18. Well, the budget announces procurement of 1208 lakh metric tons of wheat and paddy from 163 lakh farmers. Rupees 12.37 lakh crore direct payments of minimum support price. Chemical free natural farming starting with farmers' land close to River Ganga. So in the first step, the 5-kilometer belt across the banks of River Ganga would be taken up for this project, and then it would be extended to the other areas. Branding millet production nationally and internationally. Now we all know that 2023 has been declared as the International Year of Millets. So millet branding is necessary because people now are becoming health conscious, and we in the northern India we call it mota anaj, and it is also considered as very good good and healthy diet, especially for diabetic people and people suffering from obesity. So branding millet production is there. Scheme to increase domestic production of oilseed. Oilseed is, India is one of the largest importer, not one of the largest. India is the largest importer of oil seeds in the world. Production is less, so there is the budget proposes scheme for domestic production of oil seeds. Delivery of digital and high-tech services to farmers in PPP mode. Use of Kisan drones. This is something good for this budget, which will be promoted for crop assessment. Digitization of land records, spraying of insecticides and nutrients. So the agriculture sector is going to be high-tech as per this budget proposal. Revising syllabus of agriculture universities to meet the needs of natural, zero budget and organic farming, modern day agriculture, value addition and management. So making the syllabus of agriculture universities compatible with the needs of farmers. That is the need of the hour. A fund with blended capital facilitated through NABARD to finance startups. We talked about this blending capital in earlier slides also. Implementation of Ken-Betwa link project. This is important. Ken-Betwa link project at an estimated cost of rupees 44,605 lakh crore, aimed at providing irrigation benefits to 9.08 lakh hectare of farmers' lands. So this is Ken-Betwa link project. The two rivers are going to be linked, which will provide irrigation to the people, drinking water facilities to the people, around 62 lakh people, and 103 megawatt of hydro energy generation and 27 megawatt of solar power generation. So very, very important announcement by the finance minister. Draft DPRs of 5 river links. So 5 river linkages is announced in the budget. The western river, Daman Ganga, Pinjal, Western Indian river, Par Tapi, Narmada. Then southern India mein Godavari, Krishna is there, Krishna Pennar is there, and Pennar Kaveri is there. So if it happens, then naturally it will encourage agriculture, power generation and creation of employment opportunities in the western and the southern India. Comprehensive packages for farmers to adopt suitable varieties of fruits and vegetables and to use appropriate production and harvesting techniques. So this is the announcement by the finance minister for agriculture sector. Question number 8, how government try to fix the problem of unemployment. So unemployment is all time high because of the impact of COVID and because of low productive capacity in various sectors. So there are certain steps which government has taken. You can see the focus of the government is to raise aggregate demand. I talked about it earlier. And aggregate demand कैसे बढ़ाएंगे? By raising investment, right? So increase in aggregate demand will lead to increase in production, which will automatically raise the demand for labor, that is manpower, right? And for this, government talked about employment generation in various pages of budget document. So what I found that there are 3-4 major areas where government is looking at. For example, emphasis on capital development, PM Gati Shakti. I talked about this. Creation of 25,000 kilometer long national highways. Then huge investment, capital investment. I told you that capital investment is worth rupees 10 lakh crore, which is 27% of the budget this year. So ये सारे के सारे steps, because capital development means what? Capital development means investment in heavy and capital goods industry. So investment in heavy and capital goods industry leads to generation of employment opportunities, right? Second is Make in India. For the next 5 years, the budget envy says that Make in India scheme of the government is going to create 60 lakh job opportunities, right? Various steps have been taken, tax incentives have been given. A lot of schemes have been introduced where Make in India scheme will lead to generation of employment opportunities. Atmanirbhar Bharat, I talked about defense, I talked about electronics, I talked about various other industries. Again, 16 lakh job opportunities have been envisaged in the next 5 years, and credit guarantee trust for micro and small medium enterprises. Now MSMEs, they have huge employment potential. So credit guarantee trust will lead to what? It will lead to more investment opportunities in MSMEs and generation of employment opportunities. So these are the 3-4 areas where government has focused with regard to creation of employment opportunities. What is there for the railway in the budget? So how government address the problem of railway in the budget? Well, one station, one product scheme has been launched in this budget to help local businesses and supply chain. So one station and one product. So a particular place would be identified where a particular product would be promoted, right? So it will help local business and supply chain. 400 new generation Vande Bharat trains. We know that the concept of Vande Bharat train was introduced in the year 2019, and the rail coach factory of Perambur, Chennai, it developed this Vande Bharat train, which is a semi-high speed train. And the next 3 year government, the budget says that 400 new Vande Bharat trains would be manufactured, would be there, and it will add wings to the railway speed. 100 PM Gati Shakti cargo terminals for multimodal logistic facilities next 3 years. So it will speed up the supply chain network in the country. Multimodal connectivity between mass urban transport and railway stations. So this is again to increase the speed of transportation with regard to products. So these are 4 steps for the railways this year. Well, last question, that is, what are the disinvestment targets in the budget? Well, disinvestment target is worth rupees 65,000 crore. Disinvestment of Neelachal Ispat Nigam Limited (NNIL) via strategic sale has been envisaged in this budget, and LIC via IPO route has been envisaged. For 2021-22, disinvestment target was 1.75 lakh crore, which was revised to 78,000 crore, as government was not able to raise enough money through disinvestment. In the year 2022-23, it has been raised to the government envisages to raise 65,000 crore through disinvestment. 22-23, 65,000 crore has been proposed to be raised through disinvestment. Last year, we know that the government struck the deal of disinvesting Air India when it was sold to Tatas, right? So this year it is 65,000 crore. So this is all with regard to the budget analysis. Thank you very much for watching the video. All the best.